To always get the latest Game Tea, do not forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook at The Game Tea Podcast, and you can find us on Twitter at Game Tea Podcast X. We post memes, gaming news, retweet friends of the pod, and of course let you know when new episodes are available for your listening pleasure. Links are all available in the description of this episode, so check them out after the show, and thank you so much for listening to the Game Tea Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Game Tea Podcast. My name is JP.
I'm Czar.
And I'm Peaches.
Yeah, we're gonna have to work on that. I forgot, I was like...
Who's going in what order?
Yeah, it's weird. We'll work on that. All right, so let's address the elephant in the room. I had COVID last week.
You sure did.
Oh my god, it was really funny because like we still did our best to record, right? So like everybody hopped on to Discord and I was like, I'm ready. Come on guys. I can do it. And I was like, I can't do it. I'm not doing this. I can't do it.
And then Zach, being the bandhammer that he is, comes in and he's like, guys, you can't record with JP like this. Enough.
That was pretty wild getting the text from Zach right as JP is like, I can't do it anymore.
Don't make him.
And I owe Peaches an apology for that, because it's like, all right, yeah, first official week of being a member of the podcast. Time to, JP has COVID.
We just met Peaches, and then we had to wait a week later to hear anything else.
Well, you know, I think the waiting makes it better, right?
If you say so.
The waiting is always too hard.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, it really sucked. Don't get COVID. Heed the warning signs. Stay inside if you can. It's so not fun, man. Oh, my God. I was just so unbelievably fucked up. It got in the way of the podcast. It got in the way of school.
Wear a freaking mask.
Oh, yeah. For the love of God, wear a mask.
All right. Enough about me and my problems. It's time to start doing some podcast stuff. And I'm a little rusty. I'm already feeling a little rusty, but it is time to go down the list. And Peaches, would you like to do itinerary today?
Ooh, Peach's first itinerary.
I will give it a whirl. So
don't try too hard.
All right. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about one of the final ports from the Wii U coming to the Switch.
Heck yeah.
Indy is back. Star Wars is getting freed from EA. The Stalker 2 update. Pokemon Snap. Some Cyberpunk updates. And we'll be closing out the itinerary with Xbox raising the live prices and then changing their mind?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a really interesting episode because we're talking about last week's news, because this is a script that was written last week that we didn't get to use because, you know, I like breathing and not dying.
Big
and
fan.
on top of that, we've got a couple of things that are really relevant. Hell, this Xbox thing just happened yesterday, and I'm really excited to talk about it.
Don't forget game releases.
Oh, yeah, and of course, we've got the game releases later, too. So that is a jam-packed episode, boys. What do you say? Should we get started?
Run it.
Let's go.
Alrighty, so first things first, we have one of the last huge Wii U ports about to drop on the Switch. Now, look, we shit on the Wii U a lot on this podcast, and not for no reason, okay? It's the fucking Wii U. But honestly, but here, the Wii U had a phenomenal library. That cannot be denied, as there's a lot of great games that came to the Wii U, but that just makes it more of a tragedy because most people who didn't know that the Wii U was its own console, except for 11 million people, did not get Super Mario 3D World, which is like the top-notch Mario game in that generation of Nintendo consoles. So, we finally have the port coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, we've got a trailer coming to us from YouTube about what we can expect, and it's a shiny, good-looking trailer. So before I get into it, boys, like, are you excited about this Mario game? Ches, I don't even really know what your stance is on Mario games. Are you a big fan?
Honestly, nah. Like, I saw this trailer for Mario 3D World and I was like, all right, it's a cat girl Mario. I'm ready for the next thing.
Which is ironic because that's exactly why Czar's going to love it.
110%.
Cat girls.
Cat Mario is best Mario.
So Super Mario 3... Oh, sorry, what?
I was just going to say, like, to be honest, I'm not even fully sure what Bowser's Fury is. Is that a separate game or is that also in Mario 3D World?
That is a fantastic question that I will get into here in a moment.
Okay.
So essentially, here's what's happening with this port. We are getting Super Mario 3D World, right? One of the highest acclaimed Mario games of all time.
And right at the end of Mario's 35th anniversary.
Exactly. This was a game... Well, this was a port that was announced with the 35th anniversary Mario, right? So, like, we got the news that this was coming out at the same time that we got, like, 3D All-Stars and all of the other amazing, like, 35th anniversary Mario things that were coming out. So let's talk about this game a little bit. So what is Super Mario 3D World? Well, I mean, the matter of fact is it's a Mario game. So, you know, it's a Mario platformer, but I will stand behind this. This is the game that walked so that Super Mario Odyssey could jump, baby. All right. Super Mario 3D World is not just another generic Mario game. This is where they really started to step up their game on giving us all sorts of new features. First of all, the world is beautiful. And it's not just about the fact that it's beautiful. The level design is so unbelievably creative in Super Mario 3D World.
Yeah, linear yet explorative. It's crazy.
Exactly. That's what I mean when I say this is the game that walked so that Super Mario Odyssey could run. This is where Nintendo really stepped up and said, look, Mario's great. We love Mario, but we've been doing the same shit with Mario for years now. It's time to mix. It's true. And this is where we need to mix things up a little bit. That's why if you look at people who have like favorite Super Marios, this is usually one of the games at the top of their list because this is where they really stepped up their game. So first of all, a couple of new features that were introduced in this game.
Cats.
Yes. Yes, the power-ups. The power-ups is one of them. The introduction of Cat Mario. So, Cat Mario has a little bit of a following by now, going as far as to be included as his own member of the Super Mario Kart franchise. Isn't that wild?
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's not
real?
Acknowledging, yes, Cat Mario is like somebody, or maybe it's Tanuki. Okay, no, you know what? It's Tanuki Mario and Cat Peach. So Cat Peach is who you can play as. But where did this cat craze come from?
I think I blame anime for this one. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, everyone's just like, oh boy, oh boy.
This sounds like we're dipping into that kind of internet territory. You know what territory I mean, you perverts.
So that's one big part of this is obviously this was the introduction of like the weird cat thing going on in Super Mario games. But you know what? They're not hurting anybody. I'm fine with it. They've also got, you know, some of the older power-ups like Fire Mario, Tanuki Mario, Mega Mario, Boomerang Mario, just to name a few.
What the hell happened to Frog Mario?
Didn't it go to Luigi or something?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, he's only been seen since Super Mario Brothers 3.
That was so long ago.
Yeah.
Like the 1980s.
You guys are just revealing that there are so many different animal Marios. What the hell is going on here?
Furries.
Mario is an expert hunter of world class. Don't tell PETA.
Oh, don't tell PETA. All right, so we've got that going on. The power-ups are just one thing that makes this particular Mario title so great. So you've got a plethora of power-ups. You've got a beautiful world with actually really good level design and really creative level design. You've got co-op. Now, in-game co-op with Nintendo games like this, I'm going to be honest, are never usually great. It's usually just kind of, you know, like whoever's player one actually controls the camera and where the character goes, and whoever has the second Joy-Con kind of has to stay in that little box of wherever player one is. From what I've seen, I could be wrong here, but, you know, implementation of co-op's never fantastic in these types of games, but it's got a little something, so it is what it is.
I really hope the co-op isn't like the co-op from New Super Mario Brothers, because that is so frustrating. Just jumping and fucking with all of your comrades, sending them to their pits of death.
Yeah.
They need a lot less interaction between physical encounters with your co-op partners.
Well, fear not, because there is also online play. I'm sorry, Peaches, were you about to say something?
I was gonna say, like, isn't that a big improvement from like wasn't there co-op in like Mario Galaxy where like your co-op partner just gathered stars as you were running around?
Oh
yes,
yes,
Yep.
It was basically like the Odyssey treatment for Galaxy, but I guess Odyssey was more useful because the hat could actually do things. But yeah, player 2 in Galaxy would just shoot the star bits and collect them.
So yeah, I mean, this seems like a pretty big step up from there.
You're not wrong, but it's still not exactly where, like, for the family-friendly console, quote unquote, has some of the worst co-op implementation I've seen in video games. But I digress on that point. Because there is also online play. And I know Nintendo hasn't been great with their online play either, but it's slowly improving. I'm not 100% sure how they plan on implementing online play in this particular Mario title, but I've got high hopes. I think it'll be decent. The last big feature that I want to talk about that's new coming to this port is snapshot mode. Now, I don't understand the appeal behind snapshot mode personally. Do you guys know what snapshot mode is? It's like this trend in gaming that's happened where there's just a picture function for some reason, where like you just get to whip out your camera phone, like in a game like like Spider-Man Miles Morales, or now here in Mario, where you just take pictures of like the area you're in and like you pose and like you put stickers on the wall. Am I the only one that doesn't understand this trend?
No, I'm not a huge fan of it either. I mean, I get it for games like Assassin's Creed and Red Dead Redemption. Like, I took some funny photos in Red Dead Redemption. It was a little bit fun, but not very functional to the overall gameplay.
Right.
And like, I had a buddy who would constantly post pictures to his Xbox profile from Assassin's Creed just because of how gorgeous the landscape was. But a photo mode for a Mario game seems more like a mini game than an internal function during levels. I don't understand the point of it. It's just kind of like, here, have a camera as a nice little bonus because you bought a cup of coffee.
Well, I mean, it's funny that we're talking about this because photo mode, the game, is on the itinerary, so...
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand the irony of all that, and we'll get into that, because I had to come into terms with, okay, I'm about to talk a little bit of shit on Snapchat mode, and yet I'm hyping up a game whose sole purpose is to take pictures. Like, you give and take, yin and yang. So that's pretty much all. Overall, I say you should be very excited about Super Mario 3D World, because it's like the last great Wii U title that has not been ported over yet. And this is just going to complete a lot of people's Mario collection. Now, Peaches did ask, what about Bowser's Fury? What is Bowser's Fury? Now, Bowser's Fury is a whole new little game that's been added to this port to kind of incentivize you to get that new game a little bit more.
Really justify that $60 price tag for an old game.
I know. But I mean, usually Nintendo puts these ports over with like nothing. You're going to rebuy this game and you're going to like it. So they put in a little something extra, and I'm like, you know what? Fine, that's fair. So what is Bowser's Fury? Bowser's Fury is a complete different game. It's not DLC. It's more like its own title that you get on top of getting Super Mario 3D World. From the way they have explained it in this video, it is a kingdom of cats that live on these separate islands. You're teaming up with Bowser Jr. to try and get his dad to calm down so he doesn't destroy these islands of cats.
Yeah, Bowser's looking scarier than he ever has.
Oh, yeah, this is a badass Bowser. But Czar, I wanted your take on the whole cat thing, because this is your dream, isn't it? To be dressed up as a cat on an island with other cats trying to be one of them. I swear to God, you had that in a dream or something.
Oh, yeah, that's just a nightly wet dream for me. But not only that, you get to go Super Saiyan Cat to fight Bowser. these cats have special powers. I mean, you guys saw that, right? The whole blonde hair thing when Mario powers up with the power aura around him. Did that not seem like a DBZ ripoff?
No, it absolutely did. You're like, really, bro?
Really?
This is what we're doing. Just put Goku in Smash already. We know you want to put Goku in Smash.
I mean, where else did Mario really have to go? I feel like they've gone all over the place. You know, Dragon Ball Z is the next logical step, I figure, right?
I mean, if they could put Minecraft in that bitch, I don't even know anymore what's going to happen. Okay, shit is wild.
When you're constantly breaking your own limits, you might as well take the DBZ approach and just make power levels useless.
So we've got Mario and Bowser Jr. teaming up, island full of cats. The thing you're collecting are called cat shines instead of like, you know, your typical superstars or your moons. No, we're going cat shines, baby. They're going all in on this cat thing.
Why do I not have this game already?
Because it doesn't come out yet, but a little bit more. So Bowser, Czar, you brought up Bowser, and yes, you're 100% right. Fury Bowser is the name of this guy, and he is terrifying to look at, okay? It's like, Bowser was technically the villain of all these games, right? But he was also cartoonish. Like, I'm the bad guy, look at my spikes. But no, in this, he is full-on giant and like a shadowy black figure of himself with fire coming out of his mouth, and he's Gigantamax. Like, this is Pokemon Sword and Shield or some bullshit. And he's like... He's not like, I'm going to get you anymore. Now he's like, I am going to kill you with fire, and you are going to thank me when you are dead. And you're like, oh my God.
All of that just to kidnap Peach, I mean...
He's sick of it. This is what not getting Peach does to a man.
I was going to say, like, what is Bowser's end goal here? I'm really curious about the whole Bowser thing, because, like, he's bad enough for his own son to betray him and team up with his mortal enemy, and Bowser doesn't even seem like he cares about Peach anymore in this, well, not DLC, but this expansion. He's just like, fuck the world, burn the cats.
This isn't about Peach anymore. He's just mad. And that is pretty much it. This is the last, in my opinion, great port that's coming to the Switch from the Wii U. It's coming out February 12th of 2021. So from the time this drops, hell, like 3 weeks, not even. So yeah, get pumped. I say this is a must own if you're a Switch guy. And that's all I pretty much have to say about that. What are we doing next, boys?
We are talking about Lucasfilms in a very unlikely star returning to video games this time with a company that you might not expect.
Yeah, this whole thing was screwy.
Yeah, it's caught me off guard a lot. So for this article, we have entitled it Indiana Jones and the Curse of the Glitchy Game Studio.
Eesh.
This is coming to us from Bethesda.net, and as a quote from the article, Lucasfilms Games and Bethesda Softworks announced a new Indiana Jones game being developed by the award-winning studio Machine Games and executively produced by game industry icon Todd Howard of Bethesda Game Studios.
Wow, I did not see this coming.
Yeah, if it's got the full support of Todd Howard, this is going to be a pretty good project, I would hope.
Wait, Todd Howard does things other than Skyrim?
Yeah, right? I thought he only came out like once every 4 years.
What?
And even that wasn't fully finished. Okay, and that leads to a couple of questions that I've got for you, Czar. So one, how do you feel about Bethesda being the ones to take on this project, knowing that they were recently acquired by Microsoft, who's probably going to make them actually finish the game? You've got faith there? What are you thinking?
I do have faith there, but really all I have to say is I'm glad it's not EA. Because
Fair.
Seriously, how
That's fair.
is it that EA would let such a big name title like this from Lucasfilms escape their grasp? EA and Lucas are like snuggle buddies. How did Bethesda get this?
That's a fantastic question, and unfortunately it's one that we don't have the answer to. All we know is that it's Bethesda.
Well, like, Bethesda still has like 2 games in the works as it is already, right? They got Starfield, I think is what it's called, and they also are working on the next Elder Scrolls game. So like this game seems like it's going to be a long ways out.
Yeah, it might be a while, but that's why they gave it to the studio for Machine Games, delegate some extra resources for that. I think they got, I think it's just Bethesda and ZeniMax for Skyrim.
All right.
I know I was kind of joking around with that earlier, but I genuinely mean it. Like, you know, Bethesda being the ones to have this in their hands, it is unusual that it's not EA, but it's also like, why Bethesda? You're playing with fire here, messing with just a famous title like Indiana Jones, and you gave it to Bethesda? It's like giving a monkey a loaded gun.
I mean, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, I wish we had more information about this. All we got from this was a little bit of a teaser trailer on YouTube that just kind of glanced over a desk, you know, with a typewriter, said Machine Games. And then you see a hat and someone pick up this Tri-Billy hat and there's a whip underneath and you just subtly hear the Indiana Jones music in the background.
Which I'm not going to lie is a pretty lit trailer. Like, I'm an Indiana Jones fan, so I got some goosebumps. I'm like, oh, that was a good trailer.
Well, I was just going to say, like, don't we kind of already have an Indiana Jones game in, like, Uncharted? Like,
yeah, I would say Uncharted, Naughty Dog's version of Indiana Jones. We also have a bunch of Lego Indiana Jones games. You know, I love a good Lego game.
I do like Lego games.
But yeah, as I was saying, just based on this little trailer, we didn't get a release date. We didn't get a story. We didn't even get any gameplay. We just saw a little bit of a cinematic. I lit up when I saw Bethesda. I'm not 100% sure what other games Machine Games have made. Definitely have to do some research into that. But the only other tidbit that we know from this is another quote from Bethesda. The standalone adventure starring the legendary archaeologist will tell a wholly original tale set at the height of his career. So we get a nice young Woof Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I just looked into it. You know, Machine Games actually made the Wolfenstein games, which about half of those are pretty good.
I knew I had played a couple Machine Games, because I knew they were a studio from Bethesda. They got quite a few really good ones. I kind of was thinking Wolfenstein. Honestly, I could see the same art style.
That gives me a little more hope because, yeah, the Wolfenstein games were pretty good. Not incredible, but at least they were cohesive stories and finished, you know, not super glitchy. So I don't know. Maybe Microsoft is kind of handing this to Bethesda like, all right, guys, look, this is your first game as like one of our properties, and we're going to trust you on this. Don't fuck up.
Right. Well, and like, I guess the thing I'm a little bit worried about is like, how often do video games really translate well to like video games? You know, like there's
Spider-Man Miles Morales.
There's Spider-Man games. There's like GoldenEye for the N64 and no other GoldenEyes. Some of the Batman Arkham games, but like I don't know. I feel like it's kind of working against it in terms of movie games. Like they just don't turn out well a lot of the time.
You're absolutely right, and I mean just based off of watching the Indiana Jones movies. This is actually from The Big Bang Theory, but Indiana Jones plays no crucial plot to any of the movies. All of the movies would have played out exactly as they did had Indiana Jones not been in the movie. And so you gotta wonder, like, what are they gonna do with Indy? I mean, he can swing his whip and, you know, take a gun from somebody, but ultimately he just kind of steals something and runs away.
Yeah.
And see, this is where I disagree, and frankly, I'm a little surprised with your take there, Peaches, because I know you personally are not a huge fan of the Spider-Man games for PlayStation, but you understand that you're an outlier in that opinion, right?
Oh yeah, no, I understand that some people think that's like one of the best games to come out for like the PS4, but I think it's just a, you know, average Spider game.
I think it's most people. I think most people who start, you know, spinning off like PlayStation's big IP hits, Spider-Man is always one of the games that are on the top of that list, like God of War and like Uncharted. And furthermore, GoldenEye for the N64 was a huge hit. That was a really well-made game, actually.
My main point with that was that there hasn't been a good GoldenEye since then. GoldenEye for the N64 is the only good, like, James Bond game.
You know what? Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I'll stand by you on that one, Peaches. There has never been a good 007 game aside from GoldenEye.
Well, we're just going to have to wait and put our faith in Bethesda here, because this is either going to be really, really good or really, really bad, unfortunately. And since I'm not a huge Bethesda or Microsoft fan here, I'm just like an observer and lover of video games. I'm sitting here with my bucket of popcorn. You know, it's like, I don't have a dog in the race. I want it to be good. If it's good, fantastic. If not, ha!
Yay, Xbox has another IP.
Woo!
Woo, IPs. But yeah,
right,
that's pretty much all we got for Indiana Jones and Bethesda. Really looking forward to it. We'll get a release date out to all you fine listeners as soon as we see one.
All right, what's up next?
I think we got some Star Wars news.
Yeah, up next, we got an article from Dan Brooks on StarWars.com, which basically the article is just saying that Lucasfilm's games is, you know, they're back and they're looking to expand the Star Wars universe all across, like, video games. There's EA no longer has sole control over Star Wars, which is, I think, great news for everybody.
God.
Finally, people are taking IPs away from EA.
Hey, wait a minute. You're not good at this at all.
You have bad business practices. Why would anyone buy your game?
Well, and here's the thing. Like, they said in the article that EA is not fully disconnected from Star Wars, but EA does not solely control Star Wars anymore. So, I mean, we can look forward to different Star Wars games coming from different, you know, studios. Like Ubisoft is currently working on an open world Star Wars. And I think that's going to be made by Massive Entertainment, if I remember correctly. But really, I think this is just great news for, you know, people who want some, like, competition in the Star Wars, you know, video game universe. It's about time.
How cool would it be if Disney and Square Enix teamed up for a Star Wars game?
It would be phenomenal.
Because, I mean, Disney already owns the rights.
What would that look like? Like a Final Fantasy Star Wars game?
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I mean, you could make it in like a Clone Wars style.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I would love Clone Wars style Square Enix and Disney Star Wars. You know, having that animated Ahsoka, Anakin, Obi-Wan.
It could be interesting, for sure. I think I'm really interested in this open world Star Wars game. I think that's a territory that hasn't been they haven't gone too much into the open world of Star Wars, and there's so much universe to Star Wars. Like, why are we not going with that more? Why are we doing all these linear games like Force Unleashed 1 and 2? Like, what was that whole thing about?
Oh, the most tedious, annoying gameplay ever.
So I've heard.
I mean, it was fun, don't get me wrong.
Sorry, JP, I kind of interrupted you there. What were you going to say before I got off on a tangent about...
Oh, no, absolutely. No, that was fantastic. I was just going to say, like, on a personal level, I actually don't think EA has done a terrible job with the Star Wars franchise. I think they're guilty of making the same mistakes.
Battlefront 2.
Okay, but how many Star Wars games have there been? There's been a lot of Star Wars games that EA's worked on. Granted, not all of them have been hits, but come on. Battlefronts are usually pretty good. It's just that what I have the problem with is that they're not exempt from EA's cheesy fucking business practices of microtransactions the second you buy the game. That's why I'm a little irked by this, but to go off of what Peaches was saying, he's absolutely right in the fact that Star Wars has a very deep, loyal lore that they're working with here. And most of it, unfortunately, has kind of gone to the wayside, especially after Disney's acquisition. But the idea of an open world Star Wars game is so intriguing. Could you imagine what that would look like? It would be like No Man's Sky mixed with Breath of the Wild mixed with the new Halo.
Yeah, I really like that Breath of the Mild. Hold on, let's get back to
Breath
that.
of the Mild. It's a lesser known title. It's only true Zelda fans know about it.
But I really think we kind of peaked at that potential with with the newest Star Wars game. What was it? It just came out like last year.
The Fallen Order?
Yeah, Jedi Fallen Order. It was so close to being a super high quality Star Wars game, right? And I think that if they can kind of like take guidance from that, we have a lot of good Star Wars games to look forward to coming up.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't know of any Star Wars games that have been like super bad. There's been plenty that have been good. A few
Star
that
Wars
have been
Bounty
okay.
Hunter. You play as Boba Fett and it's terrible.
Dude, even that wasn't terrible. Like
the only
I
redeeming quality was shooting the droids as they passed by you on the street.
Okay, yeah. But even then, I mean, take into consideration, like, just, like it's bad, but on a Star Wars level. I give like the lowest quality Star Wars games probably still a 5 out of 10, which is like not
it's an average game.
Unplayable. Yeah, exactly.
Really, I mean, from the looks of it, obviously Disney just wants to expand how many people can make Star Wars games because they're trying to make more cash off of Star Wars, right? The movies are getting slowed down, so they're like, all right, well, how can we keep milking Star Wars without making a movie? And without EA having sole control of Star Wars, you can make a lot more money off Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
But I just, on a personal level, don't have that much of a problem with them like trying to monetize Star Wars, because of course they're going to try and do that as long as they're putting out quality products, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think taking it away from EA increases the potential for quality products because, competition is generally good for higher quality products.
Speaking of which, Peaches, obviously you're a Star Wars fan and you've got a dog in the race of you have a decent amount of knowledge about Star Wars games. Besides being open world, which you did mention, what are some other things that you would love to see in like your personal love letter to a Star Wars game?
So what I would really like is just, I don't know, did anybody play Jedi Academy way back
A little bit.
No, but I heard it was fantastic.
I'd like to see some kind of Jedi Academy stuff coming back, like you kind of get to create your own character, I get to rise up through the ranks of the Jedi, I think that's a really unexplored territory. Like a lot of the Star Wars games, you're just kind of a lone wanderer and you'd have like no interactions with people outside of like the static people. Like in the most recent Fallen Order, you just interact with your crew and you don't really interact with that many people. And there's so much potential that you could see from the Knights of the Old Republic game of like interacting with Jedis and stuff like that I feel like we're really missing out on a lot. Yeah, just interaction. I want to see a lot more like interconnectivity. I want to see like different storylines like of Sith and Jedi. I want to see some pretty cool like crafting systems where you get to like create your own lightsaber and customize it. I mean,
that would be so cool.
I just want I want a more customized experience. So nobody is like experiencing Star Wars the same way as another person, I want Mass Effect but Star Wars.
Do we have an era of when this game takes place? Like, is it at the height of the Jedi Order, after the Jedi Order has fallen, well before? Like, do we know that?
We have no information for, at least on the Ubisoft front, of like what time period this is taking place, because Knights of the Old Republic is like thousands of years before like the Star Wars movies, right? And Fallen Order, I believe, takes place sometime after the movies, if I remember correctly. But yeah, we don't really have a timeline of like where this is going to take place in the Star Wars universe. But yeah, with that, I mean, do we got anything else to say about it? I think that's all. I've pretty much summed up my thoughts. It has a lot of potential, but we got to see what happens.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those things where, again, they're a monkey with a loaded gun. You're playing with fire here, and you have the opportunity to make something really awesome, but it can just as easily fall through if you don't give it the respect and the time that it needs. So give it the respect and time that it needs.
Simply put.
All right, what do we got next, boys?
All right, well,
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, it is a new horror type game And we're talking about some Stalker 2 updates. And this is coming to us from Xbox.com, written by Zakir Bokrov. Yeah, we'll go with Zakir Bokrov. Anywho.
Thank you, Zakir.
So I, before this, had never actually heard of Stalkers, or maybe I had in passing, but this looks really, really cool. So Stalkers 2 is a first-person survival horror game made by Ukrainian game developer studio GSC Game World. And
see, what's great about this is to Ukraine, it's just another day in Ukraine. This is actually a life sim for them.
Just another day in the life. All right. So
Sorry,
Stalker is actually an acronym, and it stands for Scavengers, Trespassers, Adventurers, Loners, Killers, Explorers, and Robbers. So that sounds like a lot of fun all on its own. A lot of exploration and a lot of death.
That's a little long for an acronym for me, but...
For my acronym taste.
Anywho, so what Zach actually put in the article here is a really fun anecdote. So coming from a quote from the article, some of our fans may recognize the hardly distinguishable guitar motif. If this tune evokes your nostalgia feelings, that's because it's taken from a Lifeline song by famous Russian rock band Spleen. And I guess they just... name. Yeah. Name recognition there. The guitar riff was actually phenomenal. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that was a nice little tidbit, I thought.
Yeah, that is cool.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a lot of... I barely even noticed it, to be honest. Like, I watched the trailer and I don't know. It just kind of blended in, you know? Maybe that's
it's one of those things where it's like, if you know, you know.
Sure.
If it tickles you in the right spot, it just does.
Anyways,
Now, in Stalker 2, the player takes the role of a character named Skiff, and apparently we'll hear this codename a lot, so put that in your memory. Remember that.
Remember that.
Skiff.
And from this, we got a little bit of a trailer, and in that short scene, this all takes place in a ruined school on the outskirts of the dead town of Pripyat. It's that Russian place, you know, from Call of Duty Modern Warfare. 50,000 people used to live in this town. Now it's a ghost town. Whatever the hell Russian city that is. That's pretty much all we know from this. There's going to be a lot of exploration, a lot of kind of supernatural effects, because the main character was being chased through what looked like a school or an office building by some really fucked up haunting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
This tickles me so much, man. I haven't seen a good looking horror game in a hot minute. This looks amazing.
Yeah, first person shooter at that too, you know, I mean, survival horror has really kind of dwindled as of lately, you know, making way for observational horror, where you're running around and can do virtually nothing to your environment except run like a little baby.
Things that like Slender really popularized, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen any survival horror like classic Resident Evil or Condemned Criminal Origins in a long time, but this game looks like it may take that mantle of being scary while having a lot of good exploration and loot to sustain players.
I'm thinking like Dying Light. It reminds me a little bit of. Like, did you play that, Czar?
Oh, yeah. You introduced me to Dying Light.
Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I? Well, how great was it?
It is pretty freaking phenomenal, if I do say so myself. Yeah,
great game.
The trailer really made me feel like it was nighttime and I was being chased by a pack of volatiles in Dying Light.
Oh, yeah.
That's the kind of fear level you're feeling here. You know, you do have the means to survive and take care of yourself, but it ain't gonna be easy.
Well, right on.
Well, and something that intrigued me about it is like from the trailer, you can kind of tell you're being chased by something, but you're also like trying to like fight against the environment from what it looked like, which is a pretty interesting concept that, I mean, I've never played a Stalker game before, but it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
that's a
Russia.
great
You know,
point.
you don't fight the other people. You also fight to survive in the environment.
That's Russia for you.
And actually, in that note, there is like a radioactive principle to it where you have to manage. I don't remember what they called it. It was like a plague meter or something. And if you were in certain areas that were heavier with plague, you know, it's basically like radiation. So that's another thing you'll have to monitor, maybe even food and such. But like I said, we don't have too much information because this hasn't even been announced yet. We don't have a release date, but we do know that they are doing some updates during their development status. From the article, they say that we're progressing smoothly, including Xbox Series X/S versions as well. The aim is to deliver the product of the highest quality possible on every platform it's announced for. With fast solid-state drive RTX support and 4K resolution, we are pleased to see how Stalkers 2 is shaping up to be the ultimate experience that we have initially promised. And boy, does it look like an ultimate terrifying experience. I am so excited for it.
Hell yeah, I'll pick this up as soon as I can too.
Same Z's, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got for Stalkers 2. Let's get into some really hype Nintendo news.
All right, so it's kind of weird going straight into this from Stalker, but you know what else is terrible? You know, it's just like the exact opposite.
We took a left turn.
He took another left turn.
This is about as far from a horror game as you could possibly get.
And weirdly enough, I was just shitting on this style of gameplay earlier, and now I'm like all over it because that's just who I am. I have been saying for a very long time now, when it comes to Nintendo games, why the fuck are you not doing anything with Pokemon Snap? Well, boys,
Right?
Right? What happened to Pokemon Snap? You had something awesome and it's gone. It's beautiful, okay? You take pictures of Pokemon, you don't catch the Pokemon, you just take pictures of Pokemon and you throw apples at them to make things in the world happen and you take more pictures.
It's the PETA-friendly Pokemon.
I'm sorry about that. Whew. Well, you heard it here first, and you heard it, well, probably not, honestly, because it's been available for a while and I had COVID, but you're hearing it now again. We
did post it on Twitter, though, so they may have saw it first from us.
That's fair. We have new Pokemon Snap being released on April 30th, 2021. That is 3 months away, people. Not that long at all. The wait for the next Pokemon Snap game is over.
Woo!
Now, a few interesting things about this game. I didn't know what to expect because we're pretty deep in Pokemon now, right? We're on generation, like, what, 8 or 9?
I think it's 9.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy. We just got another set of new Pokemon games with Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I didn't know what to expect in this Pokemon, like, as far as, like, what Pokemon are they going to use? What region is this going to be set in? Which of the professors are they using? To my surprise, they're pretty much doing it from scratch. So first of all, this new region is going to be called the Lentil region. I'm not a huge fan of that name, and I'm even less a name of the professor. We have Professor Mirror? I think that's a little silly. Like, what happened? No more silly than naming all of your professors after trees, mind you, but still.
Willow, oak, birch.
Mirror. It's like, what?
I mean, they named the whole region after, like, what was it, like garbage vegetable, a lentil? So
apparently
right.
the only qualification you need to be a Pokemon professor in the universe is being named after a tree.
Lucky bastards. All right, so those are the only things that threw me for a little bit of a loop, because based on the trailer that Nintendo gave us about a week and a half ago, everything else about this game has blown me away just from what we've been seeing so far. It looks beautiful. It looks immersive. It looks like there's a huge diversity of Pokemon, and that is probably the most important factor in this kind of game. Because, you know, The first Pokemon Snap was so long ago that after only seeing the first 150 Pokemon in the game, and I don't even think we got the whole 150 roster, it feels like you're seeing like the same faces over and over again after a while.
Yeah.
But now we're at a new point in Pokemon, baby. There are over 900 different kind of Pokemon now. They can do so freaking much with this world that they've created. And that's why I'm so excited for this new Pokemon Snap, because I think that just based off the gameplay, which honestly probably isn't going to change that much, we're going to see just what we loved about the first Pokemon Snap, which is the world of Pokemon being brought to us, but like in its enhanced version with all of the Pokemon. I don't know if every single Pokemon is going to be in this game. That'd be awesome. But at the very least, we're going to see a pretty huge roster. And obviously brought to modern graphics, just a very beautiful looking world. I'm ecstatic, boys. You know, it's like, I don't know what's going on with me. I was just shitting on, photo mode of Super Mario 3D World earlier. This game is literally just dedicated to taking pictures of Pokemon, and I'm ecstatic. What do you guys think?
Like, this game really is set separately in the Pokemon universe from any other type of game. Because, with the mainline games in Pokemon, the player manipulates and interacts in the world. They cut the trees, they catch the Pokemon, they become the champion. Mm-hmm. What makes this game different is you have everything that is Pokemon, the entire world of Pokemon, but you don't do a damn thing. You are there to watch just everyday life in the Pokemon world and see these interactions without interacting with the Pokemon yourself. And that's so cool because it's like a zoo experience, you get to see what Pokemon do when they're not being abused.
Because let's be honest, that's what Pokemon is.
It's just a Michael Vick simulator. That's all it is.
All right. Now, Peaches, it sounds like you had a hot take. Now, as someone who's quote-unquote not a fan of Pokemon, but you've played every Pokemon game, what do you think of new Pokemon Snap?
Look, it's photo mode the game, right? I loved this game back when it was on the N64. I'm not really looking forward to this one. Why would I play Pokemon to be some basic bitch that can't even catch and make the Pokemon fight? I'm just here to take pictures of the Pokemon. And Czar compared it to a zoo. You want to know one thing I hate? The fucking zoo. All right.
Wow.
I'm not looking forward to this game. It just seems like you're taking the fun part of Pokemon out of Pokemon.
But you said yourself that you play Pokemon games for the world of Pokemon, and that in fact the gameplay itself can get mundane. I mean, so this is a way for you to experience something new, but still be involved with the world of Pokemon. I figured you would have been excited about this.
The fun part of Pokemon is the Pokemon fighting, right? It's not like when I see like if I saw a Meganium, right? I wouldn't just be like, wow, that's a Meganium, and then I walk away from it. No, I want to try to catch the goddamn Meganium, all right? Like, that's the whole thing.
That's fair.
Although Peaches does bring up a really good point, having loved the first Pokemon Snap on the N64, do you guys think that they may be releasing this well past what hype it could have generated? Because, I mean, a lot of the people who see this, I mean, not in our age range, but like have never experienced a Pokemon Snap. And so the incentive for them is, kind of like, why should I be interested in this when I could be battling my Pokemon? Do you think we've kind of moved past where Pokemon Snap could be?
That's a fantastic question. And I'm not going to make the argument that they should have put other games out in between the first Pokemon Snap and this Pokemon Snap, because this is a franchise that was beginning to be forgotten. But if there's one thing that this generation of like us, our age, our generation, not to mention the fact that it's being amplified by COVID, is going through right now, it's nostalgia. So, it's clear that this is supposed to be a game that offers a little bit to new people to Pokemon Snap, to the kids who these consoles are actually supposed to be for, and the man children like us who remember the first game and are really excited to kind of relive a little bit of that magic. So, I mean, is it going to have as much of an impact coming out now? Honestly, probably not. But I think that there's still a really solid base of people who are really excited to get their hands on this game, and I'm one of them.
Well, here's the thing. If you want to cash in on my nostalgia, give me fucking Pokemon Stadium. Give me Pokemon Coliseum. I would buy those right away, man. Right away.
Good point. That's a good point.
Oh, nine generation Pokemon Stadium. Oh, I need that.
That would be awesome. Each with their own animations and the moves. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing that would be fucking amazing. But I am excited for Pokemon Snap.
Of all the games to bring back to cash in on nostalgia, I don't understand why this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's a fair point.
It is
like
a fair
I was
point.
saying. I mean, they may have waited a little too long to bring back Pokemon Snap. I mean, it has been what, like 20 years?
Oh, at least, dude. I mean, so Pokemon started up in what, 96, and then that
probably
was about
99 was Snap.
Yeah, so only a few years after Pokemon started really hitting, Japan and then eventually the United States. And that was back when there was 151 Pokemon, and it's just, like I said, I understand the point that you're both are making. They definitely could have, at the very least, made a few games in between then and now to keep the Pokemon Snap hype alive. And they definitely could have gone with another game like Pokemon Coliseum or, what's the one with Dark Lugia?
Oh, GX.
Isn't that Gale of Darkness or something?
Gale of Darkness or something like that.
That was one of my favorite Pokemon games ever made, and it kind of went away from the normal formula. So I get what Peaches is saying. All right, well, there's not a whole lot else that I really have to say about this. Very excited. You should be too. What else do we have on the docket, boys?
All right. Well, the Cyberpunk Twitter released a video kind of explaining the whole situation of what went down with Cyberpunk, why it's in the state that it's in, and, their plans for the future. In that video, they talk a bit about like some of the technical stuff about why it looks so much worse on console and why it plays so much worse on console. And they also talk about how they don't want the developers getting any flack because it was a decision from the co-founders and the board to release the game early.
Right.
But to be honest, we already knew that like it was the co-founders and the board that decided to release the game early, even though it was unfinished. Anybody that's, thinking with half their brain is like, yeah, no, the co-founders and the board clearly were the ones that made the mistake. And I mean, you're admitting to it, but it doesn't seem like you're very apologetic because they seem to have the, fuck you, I got mine mentality. Mm-hmm. Like from when they're saying that.
Sure.
But on the bright side, they did say that they are releasing 3, I think, or free DLCs.
Okay.
But they didn't say what the content of those DLCs is going to be. And they also said they're planning to keep fixing the game. So I'm going to pass it off to you guys. Like, what do you think about all this? Like, do you think that there's potential in those DLCs or the hot fixes to really get this game back on the market?
Well, there better be. I mean, they're not going to do better otherwise. Basically, when I watched this little video, I really got that image from South Park. The guy who just keeps going shot to shot. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly how I felt. It's like, they really were operating with the like better to ask forgiveness than ask permission, And
I mean, I get deadlines and crunches, but if they knew full well that the game was not going to be ready for consoles, like especially current gen consoles, let alone being still broken on the next gen consoles, why the fuck didn't they just make this a PC game? Like, this just smells PC.
Well, yeah, and they said that in the video, right? They said that they started with PC and they got it working from there, and then they tried to kind of work backwards from PC to get it working on consoles, which is a dumb idea, just like on its face because consoles are not as strong as PCs.
No, you don't work backwards like that. You start on the consoles and make it to PC. That's like, you don't see many PC only titles go to the console unless they're completely broken because, you know, they were always originally a PC game.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. From every Cyberpunk review that I've watched so far, including the one that Peaches and I and Czar and Zach made, Peaches, you and I enjoyed our experience with the game, but I'm seeing two different mentalities when it comes to people who are reviewing the game. I'm seeing the mentality like the one that we had, where we're like, I'm going to judge this game based off what it is. And then I see a lot of people on YouTube who are like, I'm judging this based off what was promised and what it could have been. Now, I didn't know too much about the game before it came out, honestly. I knew it had a date, I knew it was super pumped up, and we watched some videos, but I didn't know all of the things that the CD Projekt Red wanted to do with this game that I didn't get to experience, and because of that, I had a great time playing the game. But the more I'm watching videos of things that were supposed to be in the game that had to be scrapped because of this arbitrary timeline that they put on for themselves, the more I feel like I got cheated a little bit. If that makes sense. Like, the more I'm hearing about things like, did you know there were supposed to be flying cars and like a cool rail system? I was like, no, that sounds really cool though. And they're like, did you know that the cop system was implemented last minute and that's why it's a little unresponsive? I was like, no, I did not. And that's what I keep hearing is like,
why would law enforcement be an afterthought?
Yeah, that's exactly. So that's kind of the boat I'm in right now, where like, yeah, I am having a great time playing the game, but the more I know, or the more information I'm getting about what they wanted to do and what it could have been, the more disappointed in my experience I'm starting to become. And I don't know if that's fair or not.
Well, here's my thing with it. It's I played the game. I knew what like some of the expectations were and like some of the stuff that was supposed to be there. But at the end of the day, like I really feel like I had a ton of fun with the game and I really loved the story that they were telling. So like these little extra like features that would have just like added some flavor, I don't miss them too much because the game stands really well without them. That being said, I would love to see them get, you know, make their way into the game because, I mean, if they were able to add everything they wanted to add to this game, I think that, like, you know, it really is it would be the next Skyrim, right? Like, it would be the game everybody talks about for like a decade.
That's how it's been hyped up to be.
Well, to me, it's like more of like, I'm watching more and more videos of what CD Projekt Red promised this game was going to be. And even though we had a great time with the game and we gave it these really high, really good reviews, I think these people make a point in saying that, you know, look, my expectations were obviously high from the hype, but also these were things that were promised by CD Projekt Red and just did not come into fruition simply because they wanted to put out the game and make their money. Because of that, we got a pretty good product, but we could have had something much more.
Yeah.
And I don't like that mindset of like, oh, this could be so much better and I could have had it great. I'm more of a guy like, let's appreciate this for what it is. But if CD Projekt Red's goal was to make the next Skyrim, which obviously they were trying to do, was make like one of the best, greatest games ever made, then they should have took the time to do that. I think that's why people are mostly upset. And that's why I think that the DLC that they're putting out in the near future should probably be free.
Yeah, so I think they said the video, their immediate DLCs are going to be free, but they didn't really say what the content of those DLCs is going to be. And so I'm curious to be looking at what that is because if they're just adding cosmetics, like, come on, you do owe people more than that.
Certainly, I 100% agree.
Well, clearly there's going to be a lot of patches and hot fixes that are going to be going out throughout the year, so hopefully they can get this game back on track.
Yep, I think they said in the video they got 3 hot fixes. They've already come out with 3 hot fixes, and they're still updating it, and they're going to continue releasing those throughout the year.
And it's going to take all year.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't have much else to say about that. So if we're ready to move on, do you guys got any final thoughts there?
I do like Cyberpunk. I'm sorry
Great
to come
assertion.
back. I do like Cyberpunk, but I'm not completely done with the game, but I have been enjoying my experience with the game. I just wanted to throw that out there. I do like Cyberpunk. I'm not retracting the score I gave it the other day in the review. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, no, I stand by my rating. I think it still holds that, but, it could have been a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
All right, guys, are you ready for our last little news tidbit for the day before game releases?
I'm really excited to talk about this, so yeah.
Do it up.
So we have some non-news with a reverse Uno card slapped on top.
Huh?
So 2 days ago, today is the 23rd, Saturday the 23rd, so like Thursday, Xbox comes out on Twitter and this starts trending saying that they're going to raise the price of Xbox Live Gold subscriptions to $60 a month for 6 months. And I mean, that price tag right there used to cover an entire year of gold. But not only that, all of the games with gold, so you get 3 games, well, I think like 4 or 5 games a month that you can download for free and play. If your gold subscription were to run out, you could no longer play those games until you renewed your subscription. And so, like I said,
is nutty.
Yeah, so like I said, this started trending on Twitter, and what do you think the response was?
I think people were probably pretty understanding. It's been $60 for a while. They were probably like, yeah, no, it makes sense to double the price on us.
That's a good one, Peaches. I'm sure people were very understanding and respectful of Microsoft on social. Nah, just kidding, bitch. They attacked them.
Nah, bitch, including me. Everybody who was an Xbox fan was livid and tweeting at them just
as they should
be. Yeah. And Peaches, you made the point last night when we were talking about this through text that speculatory, this is where they were covering the difference of cost between their console to the PlayStation, is bumping up gold prices. But that would make no sense for a person like me who doesn't plan on getting the new console for quite a while, and I still have to pay for the new console?
Yeah. I mean, and at the same time, like, why raise the price right now? We're still in the middle of a pandemic. People have lost jobs, everything. I'm not going to go on like a soapbox about that. Everyone's heard about that enough. But this is just not the right time to double the price of Xbox Live Gold.
No.
I don't
no
get it.
kidding. I agree. There wasn't going to be a right time to do this, though. Outrage would have been met no matter what, because like a couple bucks a month adding that on top, maybe, but you're literally doubling the price of your service and just expecting people to be like, oh, cool. Like, what?
Yeah, I totally get. If it was $3-4, whatever. I don't really care about that. But yeah, no, you can't double a subscription cost and take games that you give to players for free away from them for not having your subscription.
Okay, so what was Xbox's response after, all of the attacks and crazy fans started coming in?
Well, the next day they came out with a tweet and said, today was not a good day. They just straight up were like, yeah, we kind of fucked up right here. We're no longer going to increase the price hike, and every game that you download free with gold subscription, we will not take away regardless of membership status. So they just completely pulled the ripcord right after all of the outlash from the fans and Twitter community, which, on the one hand, you're an idiot, because, you could have seen how this was going to go. It didn't need to take you 24 hours to reverse this decision.
Oh, yeah,
it
doesn't take a PR specialist to be like, people are probably going to be upset about this.
Yeah, never should have done it in the first place. But on the other hand, Xbox really listened to the fans, and they went back, they took everything back, and they made things right. So I guess all in all, at the end of the day, nothing really happened, but we were mad for about 24 hours.
You guys want to put on some tinfoil hats here for a second?
Oh, hell yeah.
It's my favorite hat.
Now, they clearly knew by doubling the price they were going to get backlash. So, what if this was all like a PR stunt, build goodwill by creating, backlash, and then saying that you're going to listen to the gamers when you immediately change your, put the Uno reverse card down. Say, you know what, we're listening to you guys, and we're not going to double the price on you. Therefore, building more goodwill among the people, and, that you use that going forward to help sell your products.
I think that could be likely. I think what would have been the better PR stunt is, maybe ask the players how they would feel about a price hike instead of just telling them that you're going to do it. Because, I kind of lost a little bit of faith in Xbox, how overnight they doubled the cost of their subscription and I just had to deal with it. That just seemed very nefarious and like I was not being heard. But I see what you're getting at here.
That's exactly what I was about to say, is like there's not enough, in my opinion, to be gained out of a PR stunt like that. Because you can have the mindset of like, oh, look, Xbox really listens to us. And I'd be like, yeah, but they still tried to fuck you all over. Like hardcore. To me, like that's not worth it. To be seen as like hey, we listen to our audience. Isn't that great? Like, no, that's not great. You're just trying to take all of our money.
The thing is, goodwill for companies is capital to be spent, right? Like we were just talking about Cyberpunk. The Witcher, the CD Projekt Red built up a bunch of goodwill with The Witcher 3 to then spend it on releasing Cyberpunk early so they could make their money.
I don't know, man, because Nintendo has been taking more flack as of recently than I've ever seen them taking for, like, pulling the cord on that Smash Bros. Tournament and just generally doing things to make their fans upset. I haven't seen Nintendo sales drop at all. If anything, they've gone up. So, honestly, I don't know if there's a correlation that exists, like, in that relationship in the gaming industry. I don't know. In my opinion, there just isn't enough to be gained out of pulling shit like that to, like, describe it as a tinfoil hat theory. In my opinion.
I certainly hope that's not what happened. Xbox just riling everybody up, knowing what would happen, just to get a little good faith. That makes me have less faith in them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is you're not like, oh, they listen to us. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
Well, like if you look at the forums, there's a lot of people that are like, oh wow, this is so cool that Microsoft is listening to us and they're taking feedback.
Then maybe I'm wrong, but from my perspective, it's more of a like, it was a bitch move to try and hike the price up, and ironically, it was a bitch move to back down the second you are met with any sort of criticism about it.
I'll agree with that.
If we're going with the idea that it's
bitch moves,
if we're going with the not tinfoil hat theory, which it is a long shot, I think that if they didn't know all along that they were going to do this, then it's actually pretty cool that they backed down off of it, right? Because it takes a big man to admit when they're wrong and they made a mistake, and I think that not doubling the price on people like you said you would it's nice. It's nice to see when in this day and age. And nice for my wallet. I wasn't gonna pay double. I barely pay now. Right. I use my points from earning achievements on Xbox Live to buy my monthly subscriptions.
You can do that?
I didn't realize that was a thing either.
Yep, they have a tab called Microsoft Rewards where, you can check out this list of games, or if you buy this game and earn an achievement in it, or if you just complete like weekly checklists, you get hundreds of points, and I think it's like 8,000 points to get a free month of Xbox Live Gold. And so, yeah, sometimes they just hand out like 1,500 points just for shits and gigs. So that's how I've been paying for my monthly subscriptions.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I like Xbox. Anyway, so this really wasn't even news because nothing actually happened, but I thought it would be fun to talk about. But we are running a little bit short on time here, so let's jump into some game releases, shall we?
Peaches, what do you say, man? You want to do our game releases this week?
Putting a lot on me, but yeah, let's do it.
I think you can handle it.
Welcome to the Game Tea Podcast.
Oh, geez. Okay. So, for the upcoming game releases, on January 26th, we have Encodia releasing for PC. We have King Arthur Knight's Tale releasing for PC. And Stronghold Warlords releasing for PC as well. So, I won't say a bunch. 3 January 26th titles coming out. Looks like a bunch of indie stuff could be cool.
All right.
And yeah, we've got ourselves an episode, boys. Thank you for dealing with me, guys, with the whole COVID thing. Thank you for being accommodating, and I'm sorry to our fans for that, but you should have heard me when I tried to start talking the other day.
He was not good.
It was rough.
Describe it to me in your favorite adjectives.
Death.
Yeesh.
Yeesh.
Gross.
Yeah, it's seriously, guys, you do not want COVID. That was not fun. And I think I probably had a more serious reaction to the virus than most other people probably would have. But I'm in good health. All right. I'm not a smoker. I don't drink that much anymore. It's it
can fuck you up.
Could happen to anybody.
People, aren't taking it seriously, and it can fuck you up.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully all of this unpleasantness is behind us, and now we can get back onto a normal recording schedule.
And finally, one last thing. Peaches, this was your first official segment day with the podcast. What'd you think?
I'm having a great time talking about games with my boys.
What?
Hell yeah! All right. With that being said, I think it is time to wrap this up. So thank you, everybody, for listening to the Game Tea Podcast, and we will see you in the next episode.
You just got your Game Tea.
Later.
If you like what you heard today and you're looking for more ways to get your Game Tea fix, check us out on Patreon. With bronze, silver, and gold tiers starting at $2 a month, there are several incredible rewards you can receive for supporting the show, such as a follow from us on Twitter, access to a monthly Q&A session, an invitation to our private Discord server, and even bonus episodes of the podcast only accessible to patrons. Your donations will be used to make the show even better. The link to Patreon is in the description with our social media, so go check it out. Once again, thank you so much for listening to the Game Tea Podcast.